Mike, we have quiz tomorrow, but I didn't revise for it. Can you teach me, please? Solly, I have told you that we have quiz tomorrow. Come with me. Let's have reflection together. First, we have to revise the prepositions of time. No problem, Mike. Oh, really? Do you still remember how to use at, or in, or on to tell the time? Now, children, do you remember how to use all these prepositions to tell the time? You now have 10 seconds to think about that. Great job! I can see that some of you know the differences when we use different prepositions to tell the time. For example, when we use at to tell the time, that means we are going to tell the set time. For example, we will say it is at 6:30. At 6:30. When we use on to tell the time, that means we are going to tell the days. For example, we will say it is on Saturdays. On Saturdays. When we use in to tell the time, that means we are going to tell parts of the days. For example, we will say it is in the morning. In the morning. So in conclusion, we will use at to tell a shorter period of time, and we will use on or in to tell a longer period of time. So please bear in mind that we use in to tell general information, we use on to tell more specific information, and we use at to tell the most specific information. So in is the biggest preposition of telling the time. On is a smaller preposition. At is the smallest preposition of telling the time. How about use at to tell the time? Do you still remember how to use it? Oh, I'm good at that. Let's see. Guys, now we are going to learn the preposition at. For the last few weeks, we have learned how to use at and 4 noun phrases to tell the time. Do you still remember? You now have 10 seconds to think about that. Great job! I can see that some of you still remember the noun phrases and how to use at to tell the time. We have the hour hand and the minute hand on the clock. When the minute hand, that means the longer hand, points at 12, we will use o'clock to tell the time. For example, when the hour hand points at 5 and the minute hand points at 12, we will say it is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Please bear in mind that we use small letter when we write down o'clock. Next, when the minute hand points at 3, we will use a quarter past to tell the time. For example, when the hour hand points at 5 and the minute hand points at 3, we will say it is. You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Correct. It is a quarter past 5. A quarter past 5. When the minute hand points at 6, we use half past to tell the time. For example, when the hour hand points at 5 and the minute hand points at 6, we will say it is. You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Correct. It is 5:30. 5:30. Last one. When the minute hand points at 9, we will use a quarter to tell the time. For example, when the hour hand points at 5, but it is closer to 6, and the minute hand points at 9, we will say it is. You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Correct. It is a quarter to 6. That means we still have 15 minutes left to 6 o'clock. So we can use all these noun phrases to tell the time, including o'clock, a quarter past, half past, and a quarter to. But Mike, sometimes we can't use these noun phrases to tell the time. Wait, what is it? I don't know about it. Sometimes the minute hand doesn't point at 12, 3, 6, or 9. It can point at other numbers on the clock. For example, for this clock, the hour hand points at 2 and the minute hand points at 5. What should we do? What is the time for this clock? You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Excellent! I can see that some of you can tell the time. First, we have to divide the clock into 2 parts, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. If the minute hand points at the numbers on the right-hand side, we can use past and put past between minutes and the hour to tell the time. Let's read the following examples. Now we have a clock here. When the minute hand moves from one number to the next number, that means 5 minutes have passed. So, if the minute hand points at a number on the clock, we will count it as a multiple of 5. For example, now the minute hand points at 1. 1 times 5 equals to 5. So, that means 5 minutes have passed, and we can use is 5 past to tell the time. Now, let's see the hour hand. The hour hand points at 2, and the minute hand points at 1. What is the time for this clock? You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Great job! It is 5 past 2. Now the minute hand moves forward and it points at 2. 2 times 5 equals to... Correct! 2 times 5 equals to 10. That means 10 minutes have passed. So we can use is 10 past to tell the time. Let's see the hour hand. The hour hand points at 2 and the minute hand also points at 2. So what is the time for this clock? You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Correct. It is 10 past 2. Now the minute hand moves forward and it points at 3. 3 times 5 equals to... Correct! 3 times 5 equals to 15. That means 15 minutes have passed. So we can use is a quarter past to tell the time. Quarter means 15 minutes. Now let's see the hour hand. The hour hand points at 2 and the minute hand points at 3. So what is the time for this clock? You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Great job! I believe most of you can answer this question because we have learned before. The answer is It is a 2:15. Now the minute hand moves forward and it points at 4. 4 times 5 equals to... Correct. 4 times 5 equals to 20. That means 20 minutes have passed. So we can use is 20 past to tell the time. Now let's see the hour hand. The hour hand points at 2 and the minute hand points at 4. What is the time for this clock? You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Great job! It is 20 past 2. Last one. The minute hand moves forward and it points at 5. 5 times 5 equals to... Correct. 5 times 5 equals to 25. That means 25 minutes have passed. So we can use is 25 past to tell the time. Now let's see the hour hand. The hour hand points at 2 and the minute hand points at 5. What is the time for this clock? You now have 5 seconds to think about that. Correct. It is 25 past 2. In conclusion, when the minute hand points at a number on the right-hand side of the clock, we can use past to tell the time. Also, when the minute hand moves from one number to the next number, that means 5 minutes have passed. So when it points to 1, it is 5 past. When it points to 2, it is 10 past. When it points to 3, it is a quarter past. When it points to 4, it is 20 past. When it points to 5, it is 25 past. Let's read the noun phrases together. 3, 2, 1. Is 5 past? Is 10 past? Is a quarter past? Is 20 past? Is 25 past? Now let's go back to the first example. The minute hand points at 5 and the hour hand points at 2. What is the time for this clock? Please answer the question in complete sentence. You now have 10 seconds to think about that. Great job, everyone. It is 25 past 2.